There is a generation that remembers two completely different worlds, and that's probably why it often feels a little restless.
Before the internet changed everything, our choices for communication and entertainment looked very different.
On the other side, there are smartphones, social media, infinite scrolling, and constant notifications.
Psychologists and sociologists still haven't fully decided where to place this generation. If you were born between 1976 and 1985, you technically fall at the tail end of Gen X. But culturally and psychologically, it doesn't quite feel right. And being labeled a millennial feels slightly wrong too. So this generation exists in an in-between space. Some researchers even call it a microgeneration, because the time window is very narrow. Yet within that narrow window, one of history's biggest transitions happened. Xennials grew up in a slower world, a world where time moved differently. Boredom was a real experience, and there were no screens to escape it. You either went outside, or learned by breaking and fixing things, or used your imagination, or simply accepted being bored. And surprisingly, that boredom built patience and creativity. You had to memorize phone numbers, your best friends, your homes, your relatives. If you forgot a number, it was just gone. There was no Google to save you, and contacts didn't sync automatically. TV shows were rituals. One specific day, one specific time. If you missed an episode, it was gone forever. No replays, no on-demand, and no spoilers. All of this quietly trained the brain. Communication during the teenage years was fragile. Notes were passed by hand. Landline calls could be answered by anyone. Notes were passed by hand. Most importantly, plans weren't flexible. 5 o'clock meant exactly 5 o'clock. There was no "I'm on my way" text, only anxiety. And alongside that anxiety, trust developed. Either the person would show up, or they wouldn't, and both outcomes had to be accepted. Then one day, everything changed. The technological shift wasn't gradual. It was sudden. A jump from an analog world to a digital reality. Emails, mobile phones, and internet cafes appeared. Friendster, then MySpace, then Facebook. All of this happened while Xennials were still becoming adults. And this is where psychology matters. The prefrontal cortex keeps developing into the mid-20s, the part responsible for learning and adaptability. Xennials encountered technology during this plastic phase, so learning it felt natural. But memories of the old world stayed intact. That combination is rare. Gen X often viewed technology with skepticism. Millennials grew up with technology from the start. Xennials learned technology without being forced into it. That's why they're comfortable in both worlds. They can talk without checking their phones, and still aren't afraid of new apps. They remember what it felt like to be unreachable. Today, that's considered a luxury. Back then, it was normal. That's why their relationship with privacy is different. Embarrassing moments aren't permanently online. They exist only as stories. And stories naturally change over time. But when everything is documented, identity can start to freeze. Xennials unknowingly avoided that phase. Then came another major turning point. The 2008 global financial crisis. It wasn't just an economic event. It became a psychological imprint. Careers were just beginning at that time. Life-defining decisions were being made. And the world suddenly said, nothing is stable. Jobs disappeared. Companies collapsed. And optimism went silent. That experience shaped future decision-making. A core belief formed: the system can fail. So Xennials became cautious. They started thinking twice before taking risks. Backup plans became a habit. Even when life feels stable today, that quiet doubt still exists. The old promise of a linear career was broken. Careers became non-linear. Adaptability became a strength, and also a source of exhaustion. Xennials balance risk and safety. Fearless but not careless. They question authority, yet value collaboration. Neither full rebellion nor blind conformity. which often makes them feel like they don't fully fit anywhere. Their childhoods were largely unsupervised. They had space to grow. They learned to solve problems on their own. They learned to sit with silence and boredom. The internet once felt like a utopian promise. And they also witnessed its disillusionment. That's why technology isn't a god to them. Nor is it purely a villain. Xennials learned to carry opposites together without losing themselves.